Hello. In this segment of setting a stone, an oval 8 by 6 millimeter red stone and a bezel, I'm going to show you how I do my hammering. As you can see, I have a little burr I've hammered into the bench, and on the end of the mandrel I have a little opening. So I'm going to leave it inside there, and so I can do my hammering. Now I'm going to adjust the camera a bit more so you can see what I'm doing. Now I've melted some wax underneath the stone, so when I do some hammering, I don't have to hold my finger on top of it and hit my thumb pad. I don't have to use any tape to hold it in place. I could see exactly what I want without having the stone start jumping around and spending a half an hour looking for it in the bench. So that being said, I've done all kinds of preliminary work ahead of time. So what I'm going to do now is hold my finger underneath the ring and hold it in place. I'm going to start my hammering. As I said before many times, I start my hammering on the middle of the side, gradually going to the top part of the side wall. You notice I'm not hitting it so hard. Light taps. Now, if you want to make sure that the side of the bezel is getting close to the ring, to the stone, excuse me, just hit the mandrel, then you know you're hitting the side of the wall. Then I'll change the angle a tad, and I come up to the top part of the bezel wall without causing any problems to the stone. The stone should be just maybe a half millimeter or a millimeter below the top edge of the bezel wall. I don't move my hammer sideways. I let the ring do that. The hammer only does one thing. It goes up and down, up and down. I will move the ring to where it should be. Now I'm going to change the ring around. I will not hit it this way. I will use the back part of the hammer handle. And always keep the cullet of the stone in that little groove on the mandrel. Because if that cullet is showing and you start hitting it, and goodbye stone, and you don't want that to happen. Here we go for the second side. Always examine it with a loop to make sure the stone is sitting in. It's going to look okay. It's not drifting to the side, mainly because it's got the wax underneath it. Beeswax I use. I don't want to start hitting the heart like a pile driver. I just do it light taps. And I'm going to check it with my loop to make sure that the bezel wall is holding the stone. Yes, it's getting there. Not finished by a long shot. Now what are we going to do with the ends? Well, I'm going to hold the ring like this. Let us assume that the stone is in place, it's been held, and it's not going to move around. I will hold it like this, and I'll start the ends. You can see I'm drifting from one side of the wall to the other, all around the curve. If my hammer had marks in it, those marks will be transferred to the top of the bezel and be very hard to remove. Always keep your hammer in most pristine condition as possible. There you go. You can see the little nice and sharp. Now we're going to do the bottom part, the other end of the stone, keeping it secured as much as possible. The interesting part is you got to make sure with the loop, with the 10-power loop, there's no gaps inside here at all. All that metal has to be now touching the stone. I have another nail on the other side of my bench. Here we go. Here's a better view. I'm checking the camera all the time. So excuse me, but there was a bit of a pause. Some of the wax is starting to come out. Now you can see that basically the metal is now forming over the upper crown facet, the star facets. That's just what I want. I want a slight angle away from the table of the stone. When I start filing and using a pumice wheel, all this is going to be a bit of a slight angle. 30 degrees, 40 degrees, nothing more than that. So it's going to be angled away from the table. When I use my flat-edged pumice 180 grit, I'm not going to be filing flat, a slight angle back. I'm making a whole series of diagrams, and I'm going to be showing this to Hanneman in the next couple of days. I got about 15 diagrams, probably push up to 20, and you'll see these diagrams will explaining everything that I'm doing. Now when I finish before I do my pumice wheel, I'm going to use my bright cutting, my favorite right-sided onglet number 2 bright cutting tool. And I will start the bright cutting on the inside. There's a bit of wax there. I'll be starting doing the bright cutting on the inside. Then I will do the cleaning with the pumice wheel. Then after that, I start using my sanding disc, come around. And you can see right now there's a bit of an overhang caused by the displaced metal. When I was doing the hammering, I'm going to have a little fine edge, so I have to clean all